Hello again, Broncos country.
Really excited to chop up some Broncos with you all this week.
Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS.
It is that time, your favorite time of the week. We're not for the Raiders, Chargers, or Chiefs. So grab your brews and your fantasy league. We've got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. Rock, Lindsay, Sutton, and Judy. We are the Iowa Broncos country.
Orange Weekly, fans, brews, and Broncos news.
What is up, Broncos country? Kev Dan here for yet another episode of Bourbon Broncos No BS. Hey guys, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. We do these shows every Tuesday night. We'll get our full lineup later on as we get closer to end of the show. But first off, grab that drink, kick back, relax. And guys, we're here to talk to you, not at you. Please post your comments, questions. We're here for the next hour, really just to interact with you guys, and it's fantastic. Really quickly, I am here at Colorado Cork and Keg. I'll give you some of their specials later on. But right here in Castle Rock, Colorado, not too far off the highway. If you ever come down in here, just tell them that Orange Weekly sent you, and you're going to get half off your first drink. With that being said, let's go and bring in the rest of the crew. We got Jared, David, and Ayla. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, another beautiful night in Broncos country.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're still doing Team Visor versus Team Snowball.
Puffball.
Snowball.
Sorry.
We're like
Sorry.
It is 85 degrees out there, Kevin. I would love to be Team Snowball right now, but it's just not yet. Maybe
it's almost
yes.
Yeah, can we just enjoy the summer balls first?
Nah, it's time to move on.
I'm done with
Summer balls.
Yeah, I'm done with
September,
summer
and
balls.
we're here.
Yep, I'm done with summer balls.
I think my summer balls could definitely lose some cooling off, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, we already got some
Man.
awesome folks in here. We got Junior, Ryan, and Chris. Junior, right off the bat, go Broncos.
Oh, Broncos.
Remember, everyone, we are less than 2 weeks away from the Broncos Monday Night Football season opener against the Tennessee Titans. It's going to be a hell of a game. And we're going to break down a lot of that coming up as well. So first off, guys, lots to talk about. Jared, where do you even want to start, man?
I mean, there's a lot of places to go, but let's start right off the bat because I know a lot of people are going to have some questions. I know we were talking about this already, but we have a new linebacker heading towards Denver to start practicing with us in Mark Barron, who is a former first round. You guys have probably seen a lot of articles. You've probably seen a little bit about him, a former first round pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in, 2012. So let's go ahead and go around the room. Let's find out, I mean, what do we know about him, and does he actually bring anything meaningful to our team, or is he just kind of a depth pick and hopefully he doesn't have to play?
So, what I've heard from him, obviously he was a salary cap cut from the Pittsburgh Steelers out there. At this point, we need someone with experience, What we talked about a lot last week was the ability to cover tight ends and help with the running game. And, I think he's the best guy out there available right now, and I'm glad we brought him in. It'll be interesting to see what he does under Fangio's system. I know he struggled in the past couple of years, but, Vic Fangio has a way of turning players that aren't great into someone that is actually pretty productive on the field. So I'm excited to see what he does. I think he's almost kind of a boom or bust kind of acquisition, though.
Yeah, and dovetailing on what Kevin said, if anybody's going to get the best out of any, free agent defensive acquisition, I think it's Vic Fangio. But to me, a guy who you don't expect a ton from, especially right away, in a defense that's pretty complicated to pick up just because it asks you to do so much depending on specific situations and specific looks that the offense is giving you. Barron, a guy who was actually drafted as a safety and was really one of the first guys in the league that we're seeing, a lot more of now. Isaiah Simmons, a guy like that drafted this year, who was drafted to play multiple positions, kind of be a positionless player on the back end of the defense. His career hasn't really borne out that he can do any of those things at an elite level. But I think he's a guy, at least from a depth standpoint, who's going to help us, with Todd Davis already missing some practice time. Justin Stranad, a guy who was probably going to see some snaps, at least later on in this year, now lost for the season. Again, we've talked about that a little bit. But, better to have a guy like Mark Barron in the wings and not need him than need him and not have him at the very least.
Really quickly, if you guys are watching right now, welcome to the show. This is Bourbon Broncos No BS on Orange Weekly. Appreciate everyone's comments. Keep piling them in. We're not ignoring you, I promise. We'll get to your comments, questions here momentarily. Just want to throw that out there. And if you haven't already, grab that drink, kick back, relax, and enjoy some Broncos football talk with us.
Cheers.
Cheers. Back to the conversation.
So as far as Mark Barron goes, I agree with what you guys said. I think the biggest thing here is he's got experience. He's been in the league for a while, and he hasn't really missed a year. He's missed a couple games here and there. But what I think is an interesting point, and I guess this goes back to what you were saying, David, is this whole hybrid safety linebacker position that they've kind of made up. And really all it is the old school strong safety position where you can line up as a safety and play deep because you can cover, but you can also get in the box and, like he was saying, hit hard. I think Keith was saying it. Hit someone real hard, get in the box, not afraid to get your nose dirty in the middle. Also rush the passer every once in a while. It's kind of that hybrid strong safety linebacker look. And I think it'll be nice for us. I think it'll be nice, especially on third downs, as opposed to pulling in a nickel or dime package. We could, or instead of doing a dime package, we could put in a nickel package and put him in there and go from
Did
there.
anyone else hear that?
Yeah, I heard. I heard it.
I said it.
I know we were
It
talking
rolled
about
off the
some stuff
tongue.
before the show, but I guess it did. Sorry, I can't let that slide, man. That was too perfect.
That's it. It's a new thing that they're bringing in, the nipple package. That's the.
Look, we're not super professionals here. We gotta have some fun. So hopefully we made some people laugh at home too, because I am.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that I heard coming out of practice is that Josie Jewell, a guy who had been counted on in the past to maybe take up some of those inside backer snaps if somebody got injured, was a guy that the offense had kind of been going after in camp, singling out him especially, and wherever his assignment was, picking that player to go with the ball to, which is just not good. Because if your own guys can see that liability, opposing offensive coordinators are going to see it too. So I think if nothing else, they just wanted to create a little more competition at that position.
Yeah.
Again, I think there's some excitement behind it. So,
There was a question in here. Let's go see if I can find it about injuries. You guys want to talk about any Broncos injuries? What's going on with Broncos injuries? So as of what we know for sure, Justin Stranad is on the IR. He's officially on the IR. There's a couple people we have questionable as of right now, and that was as of yesterday's practice. I'm not sure if anybody got injured today, but Glasgow rolled his ankle or hurt his ankle, so he's questionable. We don't know where he's at. Bradley Chubb is another one. He's always been battling some problems, but it looks like Brett. Good.
Coach was saying, they're out for now, but they're expected to be good. He was saying with Chubb that in his eyes, he wasn't exactly 100% anyways, but I'm not sure that anybody off an injury is at this point, but that it is looking pretty good that he should be back. It might have been the old injury, but not as bad. And then as far as Glasgow, they haven't said much about it.
No.
Bunch of guys were back in pads stretching it out today, though, so that's good news.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing I've heard about Glasgow is it's not that serious, so hopefully he's back for week 1 as well. We're going to have to kind of cross our fingers and see.
Yeah, last I saw it was precautionary. They just took him off. They tried to make him, as soon as you start getting injured in a situation like that, you take him off. You don't need to play the whole thing. We know what you got. We know what you're capable of. It's the guys the people that need to play through this are the ones that are on that cut seat. They're the ones that are on hot seat.
Yeah, one guy that is not doing himself any favors right now is Juwan Winfrey, a guy who's been out since about the second week of practice with a groin injury, and he's just not been able to work his way back. And with the crowded receivers room right now, he is a guy who may see his way, off of this team just because he can't get out there and show what he can contribute.
Well, and I think he was part of that group that Fangio had him in pads today, stretching it out with them. He says that he needs Ojemudia, Hamler, Davis, Winfrey's there, Holder. They all had their pads on, stretching it out. He says, let's work at getting better with pads on since we don't have much time left. So get your pads on and stretch out. And if you're good enough to do that, come on, let's go.
And Davis, a guy is who's looking to return sooner rather than later, according to coach. So that's some good news. Looking to get him back probably by the beginning of next week for practice.
Right, and some of these guys are on the edge. Some of these guys are possible cut guys. I mean, and then you're looking at the other one I want to add to that is Fumagalli. So we have Troy Fumagalli,
and his sounds weird, an abdomen issue that he had a procedure for. I did read that he had a hernia related thing a few years ago, so maybe it could be related to that is what they're saying, but they're not giving much up. But they are going to say that he is coming back and he'll look 100% too, that he's going to be fine from it. So it doesn't seem like any big deal.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It doesn't seem like a big deal now, but if you look at that tight end room, right? You look at the tight end room and what we have. If it's between him and Jake Butt, who's been showing very well in these practices going up.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Jake Butt's injury prone, but if you have a guy that's already has an abdomen issue and currently
and
it's
there's a
it's
lot
going
of
to be
people
tough to
fighting
look at
for
that.
it. And they have to cut it down by Saturday?
Saturday. Saturday.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Is there like a time for it?
Oh man,
wasn't it like 5 p.m. New York time or something?
It's usually like 2 or 3 p.m. Mountain time. So yeah.
Hey guys, I know we're talking about injuries, but we have a lot of questions about offense. I think obviously we're all very excited to see what Drew Lock and these new weapons he has are going to be able to do this year. So let's kind of get into that one. I know we have questions here, or comments at least. Ryan here sounds like offense is getting their butts handed them again, and our defense. So sounds like our defense is back. So defense is going to be what wins us some of those early games. In terms of offense, I did see, was it yesterday, that they were doing a lot of throwing, and it seems like they were practicing to throw. If they're playing in a game, throwing 55, 60 times in a game. Obviously, that's not where we're going to do that. It sounds like what they're trying to do is just kind of pare down the playbook. But either way, it wasn't pretty. But what do you guys think?
You hit it right on the head, Kev. They're hitting the playbook. They're trying to figure out these passing plays, and I think that's the biggest thing. We're not going to be throwing 50, 60 times a game. We have a dual running back situation in the backfield. We know the running back playbook. Those running backs have been in the league long enough to know the running back playbook. Plus, you have a quarterback who's still young. He only played in a few games last year. He didn't play the whole season, and he's not the Messiah like a lot of people think he is. Please don't kill me. I know I've got yelled at this before, but he's not the Messiah that people think he is. He's not going to go out there and throw 400 yards and beat every team outright. It's not going to happen. So he needs that practice, especially we have 2 very young wide receivers. He's got to get the timing down. That's why you throw 50 times in practice now, so that when we use in the game, he has that timing already down.
Yeah, and especially, and I'm already going to lose a bet that Jared and I made a couple of weeks ago. It's regarding KJ Hamler. Because of that hamstring injury to Hamler, I would doubt very much if he sees the field at all in the first 4 or 5 weeks, even if that hamstring is completely healed, because he's a speed receiver. And that's one thing with speed receivers, that hamstring injury, unless you are at absolutely 100% with no qualms left to it, it's going to bother you. And so that's going to be a really tough part of getting the offense going, is just getting that guy back to speed a little bit. But, yeah, you guys hit it on the head. The defense is definitely going to be carrying us for a couple of these games. We're just going to have to see if that's going to be enough in the early going. Because I think probably to some extent every team in the league, except for teams like the Chiefs and the Ravens, who have so much continuity on offense, from the coaches to running back, quarterback, wide receivers. Those teams are going to be the ones that jump out to fast starts offensively. Everybody else, I think, is going to struggle to some degree or other. It's just a question of how quickly these guys can get on the same page.
Right. And Coach had brought up a little bit with Drew Lock's play calling and, missing a little bit of calls. So that's going to come into a factor. Do you guys think that it's going to could it help a little bit that there's not going to be fans there? They're just going to be using crowd noise. Could that help with play calling, or am I just totally missing the mark with that?
I mean, that's where they're at right now, is they have no fans. They're kind of using some background noise, and they're trying to simulate that game experience. And I don't think the missing calls isn't so much the confusion that he's having with the background noise, it's the confusion he's having with the playbook. We have to remember there's a new offensive coordinator in town. This is a brand new playbook. This isn't what we've run the last couple of years. And sometimes reading the defense, as a lot of us sitting on the couch, couch coaches can say, reading a defense is not easy. The way that they mix up defense, the way that they hide things is not an easy call. And sometimes it's easier to say, hey, you missed that call, when you're thinking about, okay, what's the play call? What are my reads? What am I looking at? Am I making sure my timing's right on my feet? And there's a lot that goes through his head. He's still young and he still has to learn a lot of that. I also want to point out, let's not take away from what our defense is doing. Our secondary is flying right now, and they're making plays on a super speedy, super good receivers and a quarterback that's not a chump. They're doing good things. So, going back to one of the comments here is maybe one of the things that we should be looking at on this is not so much how much our offense is struggling, but how good our defense is playing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. AJ Boye is a guy who I think is definitely in line for a bounce back season. You've heard nothing but good things from him coming out of camp. If we can get a guy like Devontae Bosby or Devontae Harris to step in and maybe certainly step into that third cornerback role, but even into a situation where they're playing the second cornerback role reliably and allow Bryce Callahan to move back inside to the slot where his kind of natural position is. This could be a really tough defense to go against every single week. And having Bradley Chubb back to add to the pass rush is only going to help those guys on the back end.
Yeah, I hope that guy stays healthy, man, because it'll be super dangerous. And what everybody says is, defense wins championships, and I 100% believe it. I've seen it, and we're going to need it. Everybody talks about how Locke is a bit of a perfectionist and he's really hard on himself, which being new, that's probably a good thing, but I don't want to bite him in the ass in the end, because it's like you have to give yourself a little bit of grace. He didn't, 5 games deep into the NFL. He's gonna have to roll with it a little bit. There's gonna be a lot of learning, no preseason, so he's gonna have to take it easy. And maybe it's great if we can rely on a good defense for that. So.
I agree. I think that's the way of the future. Plus, we got to remember our head coach is a defensive-minded coach.
Right.
There we go.
Yep. And, one thing I think we want to see with Locke is be careful with the football, but don't lose that part of yourself that, will go out there and just make a play when nothing else is working. Because that's what we've heard a lot from a lot of the, camp reports from the defense especially is that guy is – when you think you've got him, when you think you've got the play shut down, and he's still able to create something. And we saw that quite a bit last year. It's just something that you don't want to see him lose as you go through his second season. You really want to see him keep that part of himself as he continues to grow.
Yeah, 100%. The playmaking, the ability to change it up when you have to. He will have it. I'm glad that he's got a couple of good running backs that he's going to be able to rely on in between, trying to make, big throwing plays if it's going to happen. But he's also going to have to adjust real quick to getting tackled. because apparently there's not a lot of live action going on, and there probably won't be, because coach doesn't see that there is a lot of gain to hitting each other before the season starts. No more injuries, please, and thank you. Like, let's just stay healthy and then go kick some ass on Monday night. Like, let's start off this season right with the healthiest team that we can get to.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see some questions, some comments. Red Cloud says Red Fangio's DE gave Locke the O problems during the scrimmage. Yes, that's kind of what we're all thinking about that too. And yeah, it sounded like they did have some problems. Locke had a few interceptions during that period, and yeah, the defense really kind of stuck it to him. Right now, Red Cloud, we're all kind of just hoping, and like we were saying, it's going to be a slow start for the offense. We're hoping a little bit more of that is attributable to how good the defense is going to be. But, there's really no way to find out until week 1 and, the Titans come to town. Let's see.
Which is going to be such an exciting season opener. Like, I'm pumped for it. Like, I think we're up for the challenge. I think they put this up there for a reason. And I feel good about the Fangio coaching. I like the new offensive coordinator. I think there's a lot to go on, and bring on the good defense, man. Bring that.
Right.
And
we
have to remember, the Titans are playoff runners. They went real deep in the playoffs last year. They're a good team. They have a good defense. Great. Their quarterback throws like 4 times a game, and we can go out there, and if we can beat them right off the bat, it shows that we are for real. Now,
super legit.
There's a lot of right. There's a lot that goes into it. Right. We got to think about. Obviously, right now we don't have a lot of film other than what we have from last year, depending on who they picked up in the offseason. There's a lot that goes into it. Also, as a Broncos fan, we've all been hurt before, going 4-0 before, and seeing how that turned out. So, but hitting it strong is important, and I don't think with a Vic Fangio-led Broncos, we're really going to fall into that aspect.
Well, and that, I know we'll talk about it a little more as we get closer and have the pregame show, but man, I really think of Tennessee specifically as a team who's going to regress this season. So I think that's a really, really good opening matchup for us. Not only to show, hey, we're better than everybody thinks, but maybe to also show, Tennessee's probably not as good as everybody thought going out of last year into this.
Well, all you have to do is stop their running back. I mean, that is their offense. And I'm drawing a blank on his name, but that's all you got to do.
Derrick Henry? You got
Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
This is why we're gonna beat him in fantasy this year again.
Right? Yeah. He doesn't.
Well, I have a new strategy: draft 2 kickers in the first round. And
why did I know kicker was gonna come out of your mouth, Kevin?
Watch out for that.
Is that their team name? Kicker Kevins.
Kicker Kevins.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, that's my new team name.
Writes itself.
Oh man, it writes itself.
Yeah, it really does.
Oh man, all right. What other questions we have? Ability to stop the run. Okay, this is good. Nervous about the ability to stop the run. What is our... Right now, I get it. We lost a lot of that interior defensive line. We have Jarrell Casey, who's supposed to be our replacement for Derek Wolfe. Right there, a little bit of a different type of style player. I also am a little worried about our ability to stop the run, right? We're talking about our secondary being very good, our ability to, defend the pass, and our pass rush with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb are going to get there, and our corners and our DBs are doing well. What about our interior linemen? What about our linebackers, right? Alexander Johnson did a really good job last year at the beginning of the year to stop the run, but where are we going? Like, are we going to be able to stop the run against someone like Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans?
I think we have the talent to do it. It's just a matter of, can we? And if the defense comes out and plays, at least half decently, we don't need the offense to really step up and do anything fantastic right away. We just need them to not turn over the ball, move the ball down the field efficiently, and put some points up on the board. So I think with the talent we have from last year, and this is the second year we have Coach Fangio's system in place, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to go out there and get that first win under our belt right away.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit more confident in our ability to stop the run versus this time last year, especially because, honestly, of Casey in there. Jarrell Casey had a 79.6 run defense grade from Pro Football Focus last year. And that's pretty good. That's almost an 80 is pretty dang good. And I think he in line, they were trying, especially through those first 4 games last year. One thing I noticed a lot was they were trying to rotate Shelby Harris in at nose tackle. And once they found Mike Purcell, that experiment stopped pretty quickly. So, Purcell's back this season. We've got Casey on one side, Harris on the other. I think as far as it goes, we should be in a little bit better position, because when I look at Derek Wolf's run defense grade from Pro Football Focus last year, he had a 68.1, which is not terrible. But it, at least on paper from that particular standpoint, Casey graded out better. I think we're in a little bit better position, especially with Johnson going into his second year, knowing where he's supposed to be on
that guy's pumped.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've seen it all over their faces. I try and keep up with a little bit of the camp previews and what's been going on, and those guys look happy to play together, which I think means a lot.
Yes.
So I have a lot of faith in it. Of course, we'll see how it plays out, and it is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. But
hey, that's all right.
We're gonna have to have an Ayla's counter on how many like cheesy sayings she has throughout the. It is what it is, but it isn't what it isn't.
It isn't what it isn't.
So that South Park episode? That South Park episode, they have the ticker down the corner, right? I think we need something like that. There's another.
Can't you hear Bill Belichick saying that like every single week for the rest of the season?
But like in like the most monotone voice, like it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, and
it isn't what it is.
And then just walking off the podium. So it is what it is. It isn't what it isn't.
And it isn't what it isn't. Yeah. Thank you.
Have we ever made Jared walk off the show before?
Please
multiple times. I've thrown things before too.
With me and Bill Belichick, yeah. Ayla's Belichick sayings.
Oh, good
okay,
Lord.
That was horrible. Just erase that.
So something I do want to point out that we mentioned, and I think I want to get back to it, is the difference between how they feel and how they're interacting now compared to what they were doing even last offseason, the offseason before that, under Vance Joseph's system, Vance Joseph head coach. It's a different mentality. It's a different focus. It's a different camaraderie. And I think that's really what's... I think that's really the change, and I think that's really the difference. And I think I will say this right now. I think Alexander Johnson is the most underrated linebacker in the NFL right now.
100%. That dude is a beast. He's about to break out and show people what he really is. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll go out on a bold prediction that he could be so good that other players in the NFL see it, and then he gets voted for Pro Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
he's that likable and that talented. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Jared, before we get to those, I think it's perfect time to let everyone know about Colorado Cork and Keg here in Castle Rock, Colorado.
I'm going to pour another drink while he does this.
Are you going to eat your hot dog?
I already ate it earlier.
Oh, yeah, eat your sausage.
Yeah,
I already ate it. It was delicious.
Kevin, where are you broadcasting from? Tell us about it.
Jared's basement.
Jared doesn't have a basement.
Down there.
Did he pass you the lotion to put on your skin?
I'm going to start stomping on the floor.
After the show. No, I'm in Colorado, Cork and Keg in Castle Rock, Colorado, right off of I-25. Perfect spot between Denver and Colorado Springs if you're driving through. Perfect place to stop by. First things first, guys, if you come in here and tell them that Orange Weekly sent you, you're going to get half off your first drink, as you can see below on the ticker. They do have a lot of specials. Tuesday night here, they got tacos and tequila special. Also, I think we talked about this last week. I think it's going to be what gets Ayla to come out here sooner rather than later. Sundays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., bottomless mimosas. And this bar is only open on Sundays for Broncos games. So, you can come in pregame a little bit. Have a good time.
If we have an early game, you could literally just drink multiple mimosas while you watch the early game.
This is why David and I are going to be doing exactly that when we're broadcasting some games from here at Colorado Cork and Keg. That's why I picked this place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to get.
Great.
I'm going to get white girl wasted. It's going to be a thing.
Do we also have that bet going?
What, bottomless mimosas will make David bottomless?
David and I are gonna drink whatever, whoever's commenting and watching our videos during the broadcast of the games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, giving you guys suggestions on what to drink.
Give us
I think they
suggestions.
You
should
guys have
do
to
it.
drink it.
Absolutely. We'll drink it.
Whoever says no first loses that day's bet.
That's right.
So,
Yep.
Anyway, Colorado Cork and Keg guys in Castle Rock, Colorado. Great little spot to come stop by. And once again, tell them that Orange Weekly sent you and get half off your first drink. Good times here. Anyway, I think it's time to get back to some of those questions.
I mean, and we're all going to have to be watching somewhere at this point in time. I saw somebody bring up, is anybody getting a cardboard cutout?
Yeah, that we should have talked. I think we should
that's
talk
a good
about that
point.
a little more as a group because it's
Yes.
something.
This girl might have already done it.
Did you?
might already
I tried to
have
get on there and the website crashed.
Sure.
Well, probably because I was trying 1,000 times to get all Ayla in the stands. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry you guys brought that.
There's just like a billion Aylas in the stands.
A billion Aylas. Well, I already do have a cardboard cutout of David in my house, so I'm not sure if that's the same thing or.
So what we should do then is just tell the people at the stadium, look, you don't have to go to the trouble of making a cutout. We've got one ready for you. Just take it to the stadium one day.
Take it to the stadium.
And now,
you give it back.
Hey, oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Do
it.
I was hoping
They
this
don't.
was,
They don't let you keep them. Apparently, I did
No.
read through everything, which I was a little disappointed in because I could always use a little more of memorabilia with myself in my house. But that's okay.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. Jared already has a
man.
pretty big room dedicated to memorabilia of himself, so probably
I
not.
do. I was about to say Kevin has a cutout of David. I actually have a cardboard cutout of myself.
Yes.
It's in the corner.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I only have it. I only have a
Right, it's in the basement next to
figurine of
Kevin.
myself, you guys. I don't have the cardboard cutout yet, but go ahead and make it happen because
Jared's
I
got
will
some.
do it.
Jared's has some weird discolored spots in places that you would think maybe that's not where, if I was to have a cardboard cutout, the weird discolored spot would be. But that's not really for me to say. I'm not here to judge what Jared does or doesn't do with his cardboard cutouts.
I'm not sure if we forgot, but we were definitely a Broncos show, and we should probably get
got
back to Broncos talk.
I see our viewers just plummeting.
I just see.
All right,
let's get some comments. Chris.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, I hope you guys are drinking with us and laughing along with us, and not just being like, these guys are ridiculous. Okay, so here's a question. This is a good question. All around, as we're watching Drew Lock, what quarterback, whether it's current or retired, is he kind of a mold of? And who do we see him kind of following in the steps of? Chris here says Drew Brees. What do you guys got?
I'm going to go with Matt Stafford. A guy, with a ton of arm talent who, for the first few years in the league, everybody was kind of like, how do we get him reined in? How do we get him on schedule, making plays, but without the element of risk? With five starts under his belt, it's a little tough to make real progress.
It's tough,
but that, at least to me, especially with what we heard about Locke coming out of college, seems to be the most apt pro comparison at this point.
The only thing I will say against that is the fact that Matthew Stafford's physical characteristics are a lot different than Drew Lock's physical characteristics. Like, Stafford's he's the standard quarterback. He's tall, he's a little bit built, he's got a big arm.
Huge, yeah.
That's a little bit built. Can you just have that? All right.
Okay. All right. He's a little bit built, Jared. How's that?
Thank you.
That definitely sounds better than freaking huge somehow in some universe. Yeah. No, a little bit built. Yeah, let's be understated about it. That makes sense.
Ayla, he's got a lot of athletic ability, which I think is quarterback worthy. And I think the most exciting part to me is what he's bringing as far as camaraderie to our team. Like, these guys are excited to play with him. So, comparison to that. Are we going recent? Like,
anybody?
Early? Current or retired?
All right. Well, gee, I mean,
we're putting you on the spot here, and I feel, drink a little bit because I have an idea. and this is going to piss a lot of people off. Ready for this? Russell Wilson.
That doesn't piss me off. That doesn't piss me off at all.
Listen, I know you're living in Seattle country. I get it, but I say Russell Wilson for this matter. Look, he is the same
because he's so good. Like, that is a good compliment.
That's true,
I think that's a great thing to say.
So as he's coming into the league, he's got decent accuracy. He has bad footwork, and he can be athletic. He can run outside of the pocket if he needs to, but we don't use him in that aspect. That's why I think as a Russell. Damn it, Cody! Can I just? By the way, Cody sent me a text earlier with his bourbon, so I know he's drinking. Thanks, Cody. But no, and he's a Seattle fan. Of all things, Cody's a Seattle.
I think that's a great compliment. I mean, can we talk about like such a quarterback that could we wish that we had a Russell Wilson in Broncos country? I mean, geez Louise, that guy has brought a lot to Seattle. He's done the most. They've been to so many playoffs since he's been part of their team, kicked our ass in a Super Bowl, get out of town. So could we be so lucky to have somebody like that? I think that's a great compliment and good one, Jared. I ain't mad at that at all.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
I think my biggest comparison for it, cheers to that. Thank you, Ayla. I think my biggest one is at the very beginning of Russell Wilson's career, they didn't think he was going to make it. They thought he was undersized. They didn't think he was going to be accurate enough. His footwork wasn't good, and he ended up becoming a very good quarterback. That's why I say.
Well, go ahead,
I can't beat that logic.
I mean, it's a great comparison.
No.
David's got this. David, argue with me. Let's go.
I'm baffled. I mean, I love the selection just because, man, if we turn into Russell Wilson, man, that would be awesome. But
would be awesome.
Especially since we were talking about his ability to make plays off schedule. Russell Wilson does it better than anybody in the league.
Oh my gosh, that guy pulls shit out of that hat that you're just like, are you kidding me? Like, how'd you get a camel out of a fucking hat? Like, get out of here.
I don't know from an athleticism standpoint if you can make any kind of comparison, especially considering really anything. They tried to use Russell Wilson as, that read option kind of quarterback for a lot of years in his career. They tried to use him as a legitimate rushing option, but I think it didn't work. I don't think it didn't work because Russell Wilson didn't have the ability. I think if you tried that with Drew Lock, it wouldn't work because he doesn't really have the ability to be that kind of quarterback. I think they're pretty different guys, but I think
just look at talent level and Michael. I'm not afraid to. Michael says that Drew Lock is nothing like Wilson. Hear me out. Again, I knew this is going to be a
fighting word,
debated subject. I know people are going to hate this because a lot of people don't like Seattle. I get it. But what I see in him is what we have in a Russell Wilson right now, who is a pocket quarterback, can make his throws, and when he came into the league was undermined and not appreciated as a quarterback. And that's what I'm getting at. He's got the same build, the same size. He doesn't have the athleticism, I'll say that. He doesn't have the athleticism, but he can extend the play like Russell Wilson used to. I mean, look at some of the plays that he made last year. He had a couple of good ones in the pocket, but he also extended the play to get some really good shots and avoided the rush. And that's where my comparison comes from.
And came out of nowhere and kind of did it on his own with, the quarterback. You got to have that finesse. You got to have that ability to just move with it. And it sounds like he's starting to read everything a little bit better, which I want to call him like a rookie and a half quarterback because like he's not, he's still novice. I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done. But then again, Peyton Manning sucked at the beginning, so there we have it.
Peyton Manning
if Drew Lock is the next Peyton Manning, even if he's half as good as Peyton Manning, I mean, that'd be phenomenal.
I mean, I don't want Peyton Manning at the beginning of his career.
Well, no. Middle career Peyton Manning, half as good. I'll take it. But so here's the thing. We're talking about how good Drew Lock is good at extending plays and moving around. Teams have had the entire offseason to watch those 5 games of Drew Lock tape. So while we expect him to improve this year, I think we can all expect that and think it's possible, obviously. But, being still a rookie quarterback, what do you have to do to maintain that level of performance, if not build upon it after this entire offseason?
The opposite of what he did at the end of the season last year. And this is why I say that again. So his footwork was off. right? And we've gone over this. We've done this film study. If you go follow Cody Rourke, he does a lot of film study on this. If you look at some of the footwork that he had towards when he was playing, it wasn't great. He was making great throws. His arm and his shoulder is very accurate and is very fast. But his footwork wasn't great. His ability to extend the play, you can't game plan against something like that. I mean, look at some of these guys, especially if you talk about a full year, talk about Jackson and Baltimore, right? They have the ability to extend the play and the ability to run, and you can't game plan against that unless you're specifically attacking that running option. And if he gets better, if he steps up into the pocket, people aren't going to expect it. If his footwork is good and he can get the ball out faster, if he can get the ball out about a half a second faster than he was last year because of his footwork, then it's going to be a completely different Drew Lock. And I think that's what they've been working with him in the offseason. And that's why I'm most excited about him coming into this season, as much trash as I talked about him last year.
Well, and one thing I think you especially Jared will like is the progression through his reads. I think is going to be a little bit better this year. And I think you even saw that in his last couple of games against Detroit and Oakland, too. He did improve on those aspects of his game, but it's just something we're going to have to keep going, especially now that he's got so many different targets to go through. He's got, Judy and Sutton, obviously. Tim Patrick and Deshaun Hamilton are still going to be there, and I think are going to be valuable targets that he leans on. Noah Fant got remarkably better when Drew Lock came in at quarterback last season. It wasn't really close. He became a different player, really. A lot
of the guys on the team did. They kind of got a new spark under them. I mean, it was amazing.
And
he
having
was the catalyst to a lot of change.
Yeah, and having a guy who has been such a reliable receiving option out of the backfield in Melvin Gordon. I mean, I know we got some questions about him earlier. He is back at practice. That rib injury, it sounds like, not keeping him on the sideline anymore. But having a guy who's caught so many balls out of the backfield like that, it's just going to be another option for Drew Lock to go to on those passing downs when, we talked about it earlier. He's not going to throw 55, 60 times a game, but I think the offense as a whole is going to throw more this season than they did last season. So having those,
with Shermer's offense alone is about a 60-40. So
yeah, absolutely right.
When he's got a lot of guys to throw it to, we're gonna, that's gonna be a good option. I mean, whether it's to the new guys, whether it's to running backs who can catch it, with talented tight ends, I think that could absolutely be a huge part of the game and his growth. I mean, when he starts connecting on a few of those and gets some confidence behind those feet that are working a little bit better, it could all add up. It could be magic, mile high magic, y'all.
I'll tell you one thing to keep an eye on for sure. Albert Okwuegbunam is a guy who has been talked up from practice reports by a lot of different people.
You just wanted to say that name.
All right. I didn't not want to say it, but I will. Go ahead.
I love it.
I will also say I've heard two things. His ability to make ridiculous catches at this point is absurd, and his blocking is absolutely atrocious right now. Like, not NFL level blocking in any way. So as a red zone mismatch, he could be a guy who catches 5 or 6 touchdowns this year. But don't expect his yardage to be insane this first season. Probably.
Can we expect any? I mean, the good thing with this duo running back situation we have is I don't think we're going to see much passing yards across the board. I mean, I think it's going to be, pretty decent, but that's because, one, Drew Lock doesn't have to throw very much, but we have that ability to not be in a run or in a throwing position unless we're, in garbage time pretty much and trying to catch up. But I don't expect to see a ton of just huge plays by the offense or by the passing game, at least, because I think we're going to be able to move the ball down the field pretty consistently without having to rely on Drew Lock.
I think that's going to be like the cat in the bag, though, because we're going to be able to, have that running game, and then we're going to have that deep connection out of nowhere where we'll be able to gain yard. It'll just come out of freaking nowhere where maybe they aren't expecting it because they don't think this young guy can do it. And I think we have enough talent with receivers that we absolutely can.
No, and don't get me wrong. It's not like we're not going to throw it. I'm just saying in terms of total yardage.
No, Kevin. You said we're not going to throw.
Oh.
We heard what you're saying. We heard you choking down that sausage,
loud
Kevin.
and clear. I don't think he had
loud
to
and
do
clear.
too much choking. I don't know. He just kind of relaxed his throat and went right down. One thing.
Thanks,
I think
Andrew.
people should yeah,
Let's go Nuggets.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I think we should keep an eye on is that the run game. A lot of people don't think that because the offensive coordinator changes, the run game's probably going to change quite a bit. It's so easy. That's why.
And he wrote it himself when you told him, "Man, stop it."
Nope.
So it's a lot. So the run game's not probably going to look a lot different compared to last season because the running game is oftentimes coordinated by the offensive line coach. The offensive coordinator is a lot more involved in the passing game and setting that up.
Right.
So we should expect at least a little bit of continuity in how the run game looks from last season as compared to this one. So at least from that perspective, I think Philip Lindsay and the offensive line guys who were here last year are going to have a step up and really know what's going to be expected of them.
And
Right, Melvin Gordon's been in the league for long enough to understand what's going on. He's gonna be able to push that. He's gonna understand it real quick. It's not gonna take a while. It's not gonna take long to see I wouldn't be surprised if it's more of a 50-50 look, especially towards the beginning of the season. We get to more of a 60-40 look once we get more comfortable in the passing game.
Right.
All right, so I have a couple questions here, and then we're going to, everybody stick around. We're going to stick around to talk a little bit about what our bubble cuts are going to look like for Saturday. It's kind of like bubble guts, but we're talking about cuts for the
I hope it's not bubble
We're talking about bubble
guts.
cuts.
I hate it when that happens.
I know, it's the worst. Okay, so question from Jesse. I'm sorry, I'm just now getting to this. You posted it a while ago. Thanks for posting this, Jesse. Besides holds, what do you think Garrett Bowles needs to do as an offensive tackle to step up and be the guy that we expect him to be, and have expected him to be from the beginning?
Well, I think he's done a great job of addressing that he messed up. He's been messing up. He is acknowledging his mistakes, which we can attest to. That does a lot. You acknowledge what you've done wrong, and then you fix it. So I think he has the athleticism. He's part of the team. These guys don't want to be booed on the field. I mean, that is not that their cardboard cutouts can boo, so maybe he'll have that going for him. But he acknowledged that he's messed up and he wants to fix it. So I think we're in a step in the right direction. Whether he'll actually do it, we'll see. But
just more consistent technique. And that's going to help his penalties. It's going to help his sack numbers. It's going to help his pressure numbers. There's some times where Garrett Bowles plays like a top 10 left tackle in the league. And there's other times
he had top PFF ratings in a couple of those games towards the end of the season.
Go ahead.
But how much of that was because Drew Lock could get away from him before he had to hold a player? So, I mean, I'm just questioning, is he getting better as a player, or is there just less pressure on him to not let Joe Flacco back there get sacked? So, I mean,
but doesn't that make you better if your quarterback is doing his part and not just standing there?
If I was out there in Garrett Bowles' place and whoever the quarterback was could just get away from my side entirely, then I mean.
Here's my problem. Here's my problem, and this is what I love about Garrett Bowles. This is what I love about Garrett Bowles, and I wish Matt was here because he's our offensive line guy. What I love about Garrett Bowles is he would rather hold somebody and throw him to the ground than let anybody hit his quarterback. Now, I know that's bad, and it's bad, right? I get it. Listen. Joe Flacco was a statue.
I kind of get no. Well, yeah, he was.
No, Joe Flacco undoubtedly.
You're lucky you're in Colorado, man.
Joe Flacco undoubtedly made Garrett Bowles worse last season. He made him work a lot dumber. No, he made him worse because he just stood in the pocket and didn't move and didn't throw the ball away. And so it became a question of hold your guy, or because the quarterback's holding the football for 5 seconds a play, or let him get killed. A guy would know. Wow.
Stop.
Wow. Okay. Things are getting a little out of hand here, guys. I apologize.
I'm sorry I wasn't here last season either, you guys, because I really wanted to believe in Joe Flacco too. I did. I was.
Who didn't?
No, Kevin, we didn't all. They didn't all.
Not all of us.
I was definitely on a train of my own of like believing in, I was like, but he was Super Bowl MVP. But he,
I wanted to believe in Joe Flacco. Whether I actually ended up believing in Joe Flacco, that's a different thing.
Who wanted Joe Flacco to fail?
No, of course not.
Nobody wanted him to fail, Kevin.
That's what I'm saying. Even Jared.
All right.
I mean, I didn't want him to fail. He played for I just knew he was an awful quarterback, and he was a statue. And Kevin. You know what? When I get back to Colorado, I will find you.
All right, Jesse. Back to Jesse's
at Colorado.
Back to Jesse's question.
That's where he's.
Yeah, at Colorado Corkingen. That's where I'm going to find you. Yep.
More consistent technique from Garrett Bowles is what we're going to be looking for this season. That's the short answer there.
All right, fine.
Short
Good
answer.
Good answer, David.
Shall we talk about some cuts coming up? Because it's nobody's favorite, but it's going to happen this weekend, so let's talk about it.
Yes.
Really quickly, guys, Centennial State Insurance Agency is one of our sponsors. We appreciate all the help they do. If you are in Colorado and you want a smaller but just as important of it, just a great insurance agency that's going to give you all the attention that you deserve as one of their clients, reach out to Colorado or Centennial State Insurance Agency. They are great folks out there. They have competitive quotes and rates, and that's just one of the places you want to go to start at when you're looking at any type of insurance, from auto to homeowners insurance. We appreciate them sponsoring us, and they're great.
Insurance is super important in life. Let's all have a little stability and backup and dependability in a company that we want to, contribute to. So give them a look at if you guys need insurance in Colorado. It's totally worth it.
Mm-hmm. Their number is below. But with that being said, appreciate their support, and let's talk about those bubble guts.
Let's talk about bubble guts. All right. First grouping I want to talk about, wide receiver. We talked about Winfrey being on the bubble. How many wide receivers are we keeping? Because we have to think about the big picture. And B, what does our wide receiver core look like? I want to talk about our top 4, and I think our top 3 starters is going to include my man Tim Patrick, but we'll get to that later. And then we're going to move on to who do we keep, who do we cut, yada, yada, yada. David, I know you have a lot of conversation on this. You actually wrote a very good article that is now on the website, correct?
It is not on the website yet. We've had a little bit of trouble getting it uploaded to the website.
Okay.
It's all right. That's all right. We're going to get it uploaded in the next day or two, and it's going to be awesome. So, yeah, Team Trends coming to you to a website near you, our website near you. Please check that out, guys, because I'll tell you what, I spent way too much time writing it. Somebody does.
We have an obvious one. We're not going to let our number one with Sutton is just going to that is a highlight to watch every time. I mean, that guy's going to be brilliant no matter what. And then depth behind him, everybody is excited about Jerry Jeudy. The whole team he's a real talk of the NFL. And then where do we go after that?
Well, so Hamilton,
there's a lot of them to pick from.
Yeah, Hamilton and Patrick are making the team. That's going to be a thing,
yes.
Especially as targets, who I think Drew Lock will probably rely on early in the season as he builds a little more chemistry with Jerry Jeudy. So those guys are absolute locks. To me, Tyreek. Yeah, thank you. It's going to be a 6 or 7 receiver room to me. One guy that has been mentioned a ton of times as not making flashy plays, but just kind of every practice doing exactly what's asked of him and a little more, is this year's 7th round pick, Tyree Cleveland. I would be very, very surprised if he does not make the final roster at this point. Again, because he's been able to contribute on special teams as well as a backup receiver, and that's one of the positions that you really rely on to contribute to your special teams is those depth receivers. So he's the guy who I would really, really be surprised if he didn't make the team.
Ooh, I like that because we haven't brought that up much in the last 2 weeks. So I think that's super legit.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're looking at, so we have Jeudy, Sutton, Patrick, and Hamilton, right?
Yep.
And then you have Cleveland, so that's 5, which obviously we're probably going to keep at least 6 to 7. So here's the question, and this is where it gets down to it, right? We're talking about Deontay Spencer, who is our kick returner, right? We have guys like Fred Brown, who has been with us for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets moved down to at least practice squad. But now we forgot about KJ Hamler. Where does KJ Hamler fall into this with his injury?
He's definitely making the team. So that's 6. Go ahead.
No, he'll be 3 or 4 once he's back. But I think you're going to see maybe Deontay Spencer out there at least a little bit as that number 5, number 6 wide receiver. Just that second tier kind of wide receiver out there for the time being while we wait for Hamler to get back.
Well, and Hamler made it harder on himself. I mean, not that they asked to get injured, but that's never a great start to the way things are going.
Right. He's a lock for the team, but he makes it, just as far as a numbers game that we're talking about, all the trickier for a guy like Fred Brown, for a guy like Juwan Winfrey, who can't get out there right now in practice. Some of these guys are going to make it to the practice squad, and it's an expanded practice squad this year. But at the same time, you don't spend your resources on the practice squad all at one position. You don't usually have 3 or 4 guys at the same position on your practice squad. So some of those guys who are talented are just going to be looking for jobs on another team, especially in an off season where they don't have audition tapes that, the audition tape that is preseason games.
That's preseason,
yeah. That's going to be tough for them. But,
right.
At least
it could be unfortunate for us if we were to end up missing something that is a sparkling star and we let him go and we just never got to see him because it never got there. So it's going to be a weird season. At least it's pretty level playing field that we're all in this together. No preseason games from across the NFL board. So it's about as good as it's going to get.
So this is who we're tracking right now, and I think we're all on the same page. We're keeping 6 receivers. Yep. We're talking about, obviously, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, and Hamilton, Spencer, and Hamler. Right? Those are our 6.
Yeah.
And then that means we're cutting Winfrey. We're cutting Fred Brown. We're cutting Benson and Cleveland. And those 2 guys are kind of guys we kind of picked up and just kind of we're hoping that they would turn out to something. And it sucks for Winfrey, and don't get me wrong, I think Winfrey's going to get picked up by another team. I don't think we're going to be able to keep him on our practice squad. He's a guy that can probably go play very
talented.
Well, I think we keep somebody on the practice squad.
Right, and whether it's Quinn,
we'll keep a couple of those guys.
But yeah, it's there's definitely a chance, but that Winfrey gets signed off to another team's active roster. Is there a person that jumps off, out of your head right now, a guy who made the final 53 last year, who may be a cut this weekend, just doesn't make the team? I'm gonna go first and let you guys think about it. A guy in the tight end room.
I was going to ask about that next. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's where we got to go next. That's our deepest tight end.
I mean, there's so many of them.
Yeah. Andrew Beck or Jake Butt, one of those 2 guys, especially if Nick Van Etten shows that he can play fullback to a capable enough level that they don't need to keep Andrew Beck. That might be a guy who just is on the outside looking in from a numbers standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Beck was really only on the team in the first place as an additional 4th room tight end / extra fullback because we only had 1 fullback on the team. And really, that's what it came down to. And he got hurt. I think Andrew Beck's gone because here's my tight end room, and you guys can debate this all you want. But I got Noah Fant, obviously, Okwebanon, and I'm keeping Jake Butt and Nick Van Etten. I think we keep 4 tight ends.
So
you can keep. I mean, I think Nick Van Etten for the blocking alone. I mean,
they don't keep. Right. Yeah, they don't keep more than 4. I think
his
you're
experience.
Right about that too. Yeah.
Experience. Yeah.
Well, he's the guy. We paid free agent money to him this offseason. I think that too. If nothing else. Yeah, exactly. It means he's going to at least be on the roster.
Which means, going back to your question, David, somebody that we kept on the team last year that we're going to lose is Troy Fumagalli.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So does this little procedure or whatever he's going through right now, does this knock him off the charts? I don't know.
That's tough. Yeah.
It might.
And coach hasn't let into any of it. He said nothing is set. It is not set. I mean,
I love it. And honestly, you look around there's so many.
Don't tell us. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell the NFL. Don't give anybody an in to where we're at right now. Don't bring up any more about his injury. Don't bring up any about what's going to happen before Saturday. Let them all guess. Let us guess, because that's what we're here for. If we knew, why would we have a show?
Right. You're right.
So I mean, they don't have the roster. I think even the coach. I mean, you have the majority of the team figured out, but until that day, I don't think you, as a coach, even have it figured out. So it's not that they're necessarily not telling us, but hey, there's probably 5, 6, 7, 8 players where it's like, are they going to make it or not? We don't know.
Yeah,
they don't know.
And let them play as hard as they can. That's why this is the NFL. Like, play your hearts out. Play like your life and your career depends on it. Play as hard as you can, because you got till Saturday.
We had our first scrimmage yesterday, and now you're talking about if you would have leaked that certain people weren't making the squad, who cares about showing up and playing hard, right? You get all these guys come out, show up, play hard, and now you're like, oh my gosh. So we're going back to another question here. Actually, let's finish David's question. Who do you guys think is going to be cut that made the team, made a 53-man roster? And then I'm going to get back to your question, Keith, after that.
I mean, Fumagalli would be my
Fumagalli,
yeah.
That would be the name that I'd bring up, and it's unfortunate whatever he has going on, but that's what football is. It's a game, and if you can't cut it, then you're going to be cut. Put that on my taglines.
There's another Belichickism from Mila. Very good.
Count it.
If you can't cut it, then you're going to be cut.
Don't cut it.
All right, Kev, what do you think? Who's the name?
I don't know. I think the majority of the names we've already talked about are the ones covered. I haven't heard too much about Josie Jewell and the just the training camp. Not saying that he's the one who's going to get cut. I would expect.
Well,
to hear
David
more
was mentioning he wasn't playing great. They kept picking on him throughout the season.
All I've heard,
so
that's
I would have expected to hear. Yeah, I would have expected to hear a lot more about him. Thinks he's doing really well, but the fact we haven't heard much from him. I mean, that's probably
Unfortunately, linebacker is one of those positions though that we're super thin on.
I think he'll go to the practice squad. I think he'll be one of the surprise cuts. I was earlier in the offseason, I was thinking, does Royce Freeman really have a chance to stay on this team, at least as a competitive back? But it sounds like he's been a workhorse throughout training camp, and he's going to be just one of those guys you can rely on if something happens to one of the other.
I think we need him in case something happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's a saving grace. But I don't think he did too much, to really impress anyone last year. So that's why I was thinking.
He didn't do too much to disappoint either.
Yeah, and I made this, and when you guys read my Team Trends article coming out, I kind of agree with that. Freeman is a better third back than Devontae Booker was last year.
Absolutely.
If that's the third guy, then you could do a lot worse.
Boom! Shake the room.
So next, another counter. Count it. All right. So next question from Keith here: are we going to keep a tradition, keeping an undrafted person to make the team, as we have for the past few years?
I don't know how you can.
So it's difficult. We're in a rough situation. We're in a rough year. We don't have anybody that could go out and just destroy the preseason and show what they could do against number ones and number twos. It's very, very difficult.
Man, and that sucks for them.
It
sucks. It sucks for us.
I mean, unless there's something that we're missing from the practices.
If there was an undrafted rookie out there that was just lighting it up at practices, we would hear all about it. But we haven't heard anything. So, if you're an undrafted rookie in this upcoming year, it sucks to be. I feel bad for those guys. You don't have a chance to really go out there on the field against another team and show what you're made of, and that sucks. It really does. But I can't see how we're going to spend one of our roster spots on an undrafted rookie where we really don't know what they're capable of, if anything.
Right. No undrafted Wookiees around here.
Wookiees.
No undrafted Wookiees. That's not.
I can't. I'm more of
I would say Chewbacca would be very upset, but he's a first round pick.
I'm more of a.
He's a first round pick. Yeah, he's a big man. He's
right.
Hey, we're talking. Hey, you can't not average size. He's a big dude. He's a big man.
That size.
That's what this is. Yeah, there it is. That's what this is.
There you go.
Okay. So here we go. And if there's one person that's going to make this roster as an undrafted rookie, I would say in the linebacker room, again, because we're really thin, if he's showing out in practice and doing what he needs to do, Josh Watson from Colorado State.
Well,
But
and
have we heard anything about him yet?
He's not a
I
rookie
haven't.
either. He's undrafted,
True.
but he was on the roster last year.
Was he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100% positive. This year, I think the best names that I've heard, and I don't think either of these guys.
I trust David with that.
I do too. I'm Googling.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead and Google that. But
I'm gonna like flip through my notes while I'm like.
Yeah. It's either Levante Bellamy, running back, or Essang Bassi, cornerback. I don't know that either guy makes it, unfortunately. Like you said, it's a situation where if we had a preseason, maybe one of those guys would stand the best chance. Those are the guys I've heard their names the most as far as these training camp practices go. But I don't think either of them are going to be able to supplant a guy who's already on the roster and has NFL experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks. That's what we're known for. I mean, every year we find some gem out there, but it's just the way it is this year,
And I think a couple of those guys, maybe even more than the two I just mentioned, are going to be on the practice squad for sure this year. Douglas Coleman, a safety, Hunter Watts, tackle, are prime practice squad candidates to me. But yeah, it's going to be real tough for them to crack the active roster this year.
I like it.
I love it. I want some more of it.
I'm not done. We can keep going, but really quickly, I do want to give everyone a rundown of all the stuff we have coming up this season. Obviously, next week we'll be back for another episode of Bourbon Broncos No BS for that Tuesday show. After that, well, actually, no. Next week is our first full week, so we're going to be
our first full week. We're doing the whole
first
9.
Full week. We're going to have the pregame podcast. We're going to have the Tuesday night show. Obviously, with the Monday night football game, we'll have the Broncos tailgate show about an hour before kickoff. We'll have the halftime hash. We'll have a post-game podcast.
So fun.
We're going to be busy, and we are here for you. I mean, we're at 2 podcasts, 4 or 5 shows for you a week. Make sure you have Orange Weekly favorited on, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everywhere. So we pop up right there at the top of the news feed.
Come give us shares and reviews.
Yes.
Come
please
follow
review us.
everything.
Those reviews are huge. Yes.
Yeah,
they're huge, you guys. I mean, first of all, we want to know how much you love us, but everybody else needs to know how much you love us too, because we love you.
How much you love me. It's okay. You can start with
Not
that.
you, Kevin.
No. Hold on.
No,
We want 5 stars, Kev. We want 5 stars.
Oh, wow. I thought it was like golf.
Not 5 foot stars. 5 stars.
Oh.
Oh man,
that was good.
I didn't see that coming. But yeah, guys. Hey, next week we are ramping up. It is time to start the season. We got a ton of stuff coming out for you. Just get ready. Monday Night Football, first game for the Broncos, is right around the corner, believe it or not. And we're going to be here every step of the way through the season with you guys, no matter what.
Trevor Siemian is amount of days away. Go ahead, Jared.
Did you compliment me?
It's 13 days.
David, can you just? I just want to. Can you?
All of the viewers.
Shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth.
KJ Hamler did.
Shut your mouth.
Hamler did.
Trevor Siemian reference.
Thank you.
Everybody appreciated it. Go ahead.
Nobody appreciated Trevor Siemian reference. Get out of here.
It was almost good.
It beat out all the Paxton Lynch references I had. So
true.
Yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was bad, and you should feel bad. I want to throw out a reference. I want to throw out a. So we have a new podcast that we're going to be starting this year. It's going to be called Ragers, and Raymond and I are going to be giving you the best bets that you guys are going to need for your Broncos this upcoming year. Pre-game. So that's actually going to start this week on Saturday. Every Saturday it's going to be released. You're going to have to go follow Ragers on iTunes, Spotify, blah 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 blah, all the other things. Give them 5 stars. Give us 5 stars. Ragers by Orange Weekly. We're going to be giving you the best bets that you guys are going to need all through the season, as well as every single week, different lines for different people. And Raymond is so good at this, and that's why we have him coming out to help us out. He's going to be winning you guys money. He's going to be winning us money. You don't have to listen to us, but I recommend it. That's all I'm saying. Let's listen to what we got to say, and then it'll make sense, hopefully.
And those 5-star review guys, I'll tell you what, nothing helps our visibility more. iTunes, just leave us 5 stars, leave a review
on our Facebook, and come on over to Instagram, you guys. We've got Orange Weekly on Instagram. I keep teasing this giveaway because I want to make it really good, but I've got some fun stuff, and you can't be a part of it if you don't follow us.
That's
so
right.
come on over Instagram, Orange Weekly.
I cannot wait for Devin Candino to win that prize. I think he's a great guy.
Devin Candino,
and really deserved to win that prize, but he'll be entering.
He's really tall.
I was gonna say. Well, I was gonna say with Kevin, visibility issues are especially a thing for Kevin with his well-documented height problem.
But not Devin.
No, not Devin. No, Devin doesn't have any problems being seen, especially in a crowd. Yeah.
Woo!
Oh man! Look, first of all, thank you everyone for following us. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for rating us. We really appreciate this, guys.
Thanks for commenting and sending your questions.
Thank you for commenting.
We love it.
Yep.
Absolutely. This is the best. We're here for you. This is why we're is that from Kevin? Is that from Devin Candino?
It is.
The crying inside is from
Yep.
Devin Candino doesn't have any problems.
He's the one. Devin is the
He's
one.
He's a handsome dude that looks like a Google model.
A Google model? What the hell is a
Does
Google
Google
model?
have models?
Have you guys not got those friend request people for and then you search their picture on Google and it's like just a Google model?
No.
All right.
No.
I have.
All right. Maybe it's just me. Maybe just me.
All right. It's just you. Maybe Devin's messaged you too many times.
Yeah, I've gotten too many Devins. All right, we're digressing way too much.
Let's wrap.
Thank you guys so much for following us. Thank you for
awesome.
watching. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for following us. Please, again, go Broncos. Go rate us. And as we log off, everybody, go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Take care, everyone.
Cheers.